Hello everyone, I'm Mark Suxford and I want to welcome you all to my new podcast called People Behind Brands, brought to you by Making Websites Better. Throughout the series, I'll be opening up my little black book of contacts where I'll be joined by an inspirational guest from the world of business, getting to the bottom of what made them so successful. In each episode, I'll be touching upon the highs and the lows that every professional has faced along the way. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands. Life lessons from the world of business. Since forming People Behind Brands podcast, we have had many excellent guests showcasing their life lessons from the world of business. Some of those guests have been put forward by a boutique PR consultancy named Espresso. Company founders Lisa Fox and Stacey Jaffe have been a great support throughout, allowing me to promote their exciting range of clients on the pod. But this time, it's their turn. Espresso is coming up for their first year of trading, but it's quickly grown in popularity thanks to their black book of celebrity contacts and effective campaign strategies. With 30 years combined experience at leading agencies, Lisa and Stacey talk us through the challenges of parenting and homeschooling their young children through lockdown, whilst also setting up their new company. We also discover how the duo became good friends and how their working styles complement each other on a daily basis. So without further ado, let's hear it for the girls. Ladies, welcome to the show. How are you both doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Good, excellent. So where can we find you today?
Where are we? We're at Lisa's house. We work together kind of 4 days a week at one of our homes. We don't feel the need for an office at this point. Yeah. We're usually together, which is lovely because when we launched, we obviously weren't together because it was right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, excellent. So since the birth of People Behind Brands, Lisa and Stacey of Espresso have been great supporters of the podcast. Recently, they have provided us with some excellent guests to showcase their life lessons from the world of business, but this time it's their turn. But before we find out a bit more about you both, what attracted you to bring guests to the podcast and how did you find us?
So we found you because we had listened to the podcast and we thought it was a really great way of showing people behind the business and their kind of personal journeys. And we'll tell you a little bit more about what we do at Espresso, but we work with founder-led businesses and people that have really interesting stories that led them to create their businesses. So your podcast really feels like the perfect platform to allow these brands to share their stories.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the reason behind it all. We wanted to speak to people behind these sort of brands and find out a bit more about what they do, but also kind of the personal stories behind those as well. So yeah, it's been a really good kind of duo between us, and it's worked really well. So first question, ladies, let's get straight to the heart of it. It's obvious that you work well together. So how would you describe one another? So let's start with you, Lisa.
So to give you a little bit of background, Stacey and I have been friends for a really long time. We both met at Frank PR and in kind of early stages of our PR careers, we used to sit back to back from each other and used to have a lot of fun at work. And we always knew that we wanted to do something together. And having now worked with Stacey, I can, it just works really well. She is one of the most driven and hardworking people that I know, very, very business-minded. And she does have an unbelievable black book of contacts, which is great for us growing our brand. And I always say to Stacey, when she does a job, she doesn't just do the job, she does it, she exceeds the job and she does it to the best of her ability. And it's amazing to watch because she does it, she's very, very good at her job. And yeah, it really is. We work very well together, and I think what is very key, and hopefully Stacey will say something about me, but what's very key is that we complement each other, and there's things that Stacey brings that might not be my strengths and vice versa, and that kind of really does, that's shown as we've kind of been on this journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to have my own business and basically have spent the last 15 years in Lisa's ear trying to encourage her to do this. And I think lockdown definitely gave you that time to think things through and realize what you wanted to get out of your career and lifestyle. And I definitely, made the right decision in pushing Lisa to do this. First of all, on a personal level, no one makes me laugh like Lisa. Like, it's a joy. It's so much fun. Even, when we're really, really busy and things are hard, it's fun. It's just, we love doing it together. But she, as she said, we complement each other. The things that I'm not good at, Lisa's brilliant at, and vice versa. And that's what makes the perfect partnership. She's insightful, she's strategic, she's considered, she's conscientious, and she really gets under the skin of our clients. And she knows what makes a story work. You always were an amazing publicist 15 years ago, and you still are. And, I think both of us love talking to people, and that's really important. And we'll get on to a bit about like how we work. But we are essentially a hands-on duo. We do everything together, and we really just love helping our clients grow, essentially. And that's kind of what we've set out to do and what we're achieving.
Yeah. I felt I might shed a tear in a minute. It was quite lovely of you both. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have that kind of partnership. So I take it you're both obviously friends outside of work then.
Yeah, so we obviously met in kind of the workspace.
So we never worked together. So we sat back to back, as Lisa said. And, there's some funny moments. When I was going on the first date with my now husband, Lisa was like, let's look him up on social media. And we found out that our now husbands had gone away together on a holiday to Barbados. Like, there was like random connections. And we became really good friends. We were at each other's weddings, on each other's
We've
heads.
got kids the same age.
Had babies together, went to each other's baby showers, go to each other's babies' parties. And so there's that friendship side. But I think when you meet someone in a working environment, that's the foundation of your relationship. So as much fun as we have together, it always comes back to work because we are business-minded people and we met in that environment. So,
and we know like where our friendship and work boundaries kind of cross, if that makes sense. Like, we're not, you're not in each other's pockets the whole time, because we do have that kind of boundary between us. But it does, that's why it kind of works so well, because we've got that friendship level.
So you've both come from a fantastic background in the industry. So talk to us about some of the projects you're currently involved with.
We've worked at some of the biggest agencies in the UK, and we're really kind of grateful and proud to have worked on some amazing brands. I've worked on the likes of IKEA, Virgin Active, Alton Towers, to household brands. Stacey's worked with Nintendo, Pizza Hut, some brands that everyone knows. And I think what we do at Espresso is that we have taken what we've learned from working with these massive brands and working on these big budget campaigns, and we're taking those contacts and that experience and that expertise, and we're bringing it to kind of the more smaller startup brands, growing brands that might not have the big budget. However, through the experience that we've had, we're able to kind of, give them that creative element or give them the direction that they need in order to achieve results. And that's what we're doing at Espresso. So we're really proud to have worked, it's in the last 8 months, we have worked with some amazing brands and amazing people. We don't specialize in one sector, and we work with a variety of different brands. So from beauty to drinks to fashion, to travel, we work with some lots of different brands in different industries. And most notably, we can talk about a few clients that we've worked on, but most notably we worked on a client called the Big Silk, which is a beauty silk brand. And they came to us when they were on 2,000 followers, and we got them over that 10,000 mark. They're now kind of a really growing, well-established brand. We got their product in the hands of Amanda Holden, Kat Deely, some really big names. And it was unbelievable to see the impact that these celebrities, these influencers and coverage had on this brand, because they weren't doing anything else. They didn't have big advertising spend. They didn't have anything else. It was just the work that we were doing. So it was amazing to see that big impact that we had there. And then we've also just finished a campaign with Style Cheat. So we've been doing some kind of celebrity edits with them. They're a fashion brand. Again, a huge impact. The edits sold out within 24 hours, which is really interesting. And then we've also done some kind of more hard-hitting stuff. So we've worked with a surrogacy brand, a surrogacy agency. it was really interesting. We got really under the skin of the brand. I think when we first started working with them, neither of us knew anything about surrogacy, but we really wanted to understand it. And we got the founder, into the likes of Grazia, all of, plenty of podcasts.
She kind of came to us and was like, the objective here, because we always say to our clients, what's the brief? What are you trying to achieve? Is it sales? Is it bums on seats? Is it downloads? What do you need to achieve? And she kind of said, the problem here is that there's a misconception around surrogacy. People don't know what it is. It's sensationalized by Coronation Street and, the Kardashians. And there's this huge misconception, and there aren't enough surrogates coming forward in the UK. So that was kind of our brief. So we were like, how can we sort of tell this story and drive surrogates to come forward? And the best way was to use the founder, who had been a surrogate herself to 4 babies, which is unbelievable, and to kind of show the passionate compassion and the really positive side of surrogacy. And we used her as a case study and did some amazing things. I mean, getting a first person article in Grazia about the surrogacy journey was just such a massive thing for us.
And then we used case studies that they had, really interesting stories and journeys people have been on, and we got kind of a 4-page feature in Stella magazine. It was on the front cover of Stella. So it was essentially using our contacts that we've over the years, and how can we really help these brands like the surrogacy agency and other brands we worked on
achieve what they need to. It's not always small brands that come to us. It's also brands come to us with a moment that they're trying to get to. So whether that's a crowd fund, or whether that's getting into a new retailer, or whatever it is, it's not always a new business that comes to us. Sometimes it's a really established business who's about to kind of needs to elevate and have that push to get over a certain line. And that's been really exciting to see, how our work can benefit. Because I think PR always had a bit of a rep of being really untangible and hard to quantify. And the change that's come in PR through social media, influencers, all of this stuff has helped us to kind of really see the instant results of PR. So there's kind of two things that we do. There's the slow burning PR, which is the traditional coverage where you see an article and it can kind of slowly impact consumer behavior. And then there's the kind of instant moment where there's Amanda Holden wearing a dress or, using a scrunchie, and you see the consumer instantly swipe up and purchase. And that's kind of instant consumer behavior change. And we kind of do both, or one or the other, depending on what the client's trying to achieve. So I guess the main thing is kind of to get across is that what we do is tailor make our campaigns based on the brief that the client is coming to us with. So tell us what you want to achieve. We will design a program that will achieve that result for you.
So as you look to the future and reflect on your past couple of months at Espresso, what are you most proud of, and what would you say are your big plans for the future?
Okay, so I'm so proud of us. First of all, I just can't believe what we've achieved. We launched with 5 clients, which was really exciting. And
it was in lockdown.
Yeah. And we've continued to grow. But we're also having businesses come to us who have seen what we've done and want us to do the same thing, which is really exciting as well. And then also I'm proud of the fact that the work we've done has worked. The sales figures that we've seen from our clients prove that our model works. The clients that have invested in us see the benefit of doing so. And now we're seeing repeat campaigns, repeat business from the same people. So that's really exciting. And I'm really, really proud of the rate that we've grown at. Big plans for the future. Well, we're both very driven. I think that's kind of come through. Both love what we're doing. Seeing what we've already achieved so far, I think I'm just really excited to see what's next for Espresso. We kind of are taking it slowly. We don't want to run before we can walk, but the rate we're growing is incredibly exciting. So at the moment, we just try to take stock where we can, and enjoy the wins, and enjoy the moments. But I'm really excited for what's next.
And we've got some actually really exciting campaigns coming up, like that are a little bit bolder, I would say, than what we've currently done, you know, to kind of take us to that next, to get noticed essentially. So we've got some really, really great, exciting work coming up.
We've just won a really exciting piece of work with the Duchess of Northumberland, who's opening the world's largest play area in on the grounds of the castle that she resides in.
Okay.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
And we're working on some really cool stuff that just gets us really excited.
Yeah.
I mean, businesses across the country have had to move with the times and post-pandemic, but what kind of impact did COVID have on your relatively new company and the clients you're involved with?
And we thought it was too early at the time, but we didn't. We went for it. And just as businesses were starting to think about getting themselves back on their feet and where to spend their budgets and what was going to help them grow and sort of get back, we were there. And that was really, really great. It also, you know, going through the lockdown forced you to really think about what you were doing with your life. And, you know, we've got 5 kids between us as well. We want to make sure that we're everywhere, you know, and I think that time at home kind of gave us that moment to think about, you know, we're at that point in our career now, like, what do we want to do? Do we want to stay doing what we've been doing, or do we want to take that risk? And we took it, and obviously it was really exciting. But I definitely think things are coming back thick and fast. And, you know, the world's opening up again. We're all ready to go and support growing businesses.
Yeah.
And I also think that consumer behavior has changed, and consumers are really excited to purchase from small businesses, from entrepreneurs. People are really savvy to who they want to spend their money with as well, which is really exciting for us because we work predominantly with these growing businesses. So whereas before someone may not have been a big enough name for a certain podcast or feature, now they are the ones that people want to speak to because we're all kind of on this entrepreneurial growing businesses journey, and we all want to support each other. Yeah. So for us personally, it was actually a really great time, but for the industry as a whole, it was obviously, you know, a rough ride.
Yeah. So in terms of going from that sort of personal point of view, I mean, how did you kind of cope in lockdown? Obviously, you've got kids and things like that. They must have been bored out of their head, you know, and then obviously, you know, trying to support the business itself, a new business as well. So, I mean, how did you as parents, but also yourselves, cope within that kind of period?
Lockdown was tricky. I mean, I was working in a full-time job in agency side and I was working on some big campaigns. I was doing a massive project for Amex, and it was tough because I had, you know, both kids at home.
Yeah.
And it was a juggle. It was a real juggle. I think what Stacey and I are very into kind of exercise, having some time on our own, knowing that kind of, you know, time for yourself is extremely important. So both of us go running a lot, and that during lockdown helped me so much. I had to go on my morning run before I started with the juggle. But I think what I would say is we are both very, very organized people. And I think if I'm out of sync and not organized, you know, and everything can kind of go awry. So in lockdown, it was all about keeping everything, you know, organized as much as possible so that you can plan your day, you can plan your week. And also, I think, you know, clients understood that, you know, everybody had their kids at home during that time. And it was a very, very tricky time. But what I would say is that now that we launched in lockdown, and we both are just very respectful of each other's time. You know, if one of our children are off sick, or, you know, we're able to manage our own time and our own, you know, calls and everything around it to ensure that we're kind of.
Yeah, I think for me, I've got 3 kids. I've got a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I was homeschooling 2 of them. It was
intense,
horrific. Yeah. I'm not going to, you know, beat about the bush. It wasn't a great time. For me, Espresso, you know, this seed that was growing was so exciting that this was my downtime. Yeah. You know, when I was done with the kids and I could kind of, you know, we were building our website and we were building our Instagram and we were getting ready to launch. It was so exciting. Yeah. And that kind of was my positive distraction from the chaos and the really intenseness of homeschooling and a 2-year-old smashing up the house and cooking and cleaning and, you know, my husband working from, you know, it was just a really hard time. And Espresso was that lifeline for me. It was that exciting discussion I could have with Lisa at the end of the day when the kids were, you know, in bed, and we could get excited about different bits of, you know, the business. And I think that for me was really necessary having that,
And I think also what was amazing is what we found that we could achieve in lockdown when we had the kids at home. And then when they went back to school, we were like, we've got so much time. And that is when, when the kids went back to school and everything started to sort itself out, that's when we really, we were able to start, it took off properly. But I think during lockdown, we just like kind of got everything ready, kids went back to school, and then we kind of took off. So in a way, it was quite a good timing.
The aim of this podcast is to focus on more of the testing times that we all go through at some point along the way. So from a personal point of view, what have been some of the setbacks or hardships that you've impacted, you or made you more determined to sort of succeed in a business?
What I would say is doing this, I personally, this was completely outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to be honest, and that's why it took Stacey a while to convince you. It was totally outside my comfort zone. I've always been part of a very big team. I've never been on my own doing it. So since I started in PR, I've always been part of a big team since I left uni. So doing it on my own, but obviously we've got each other, which massively helped. I was completely outside my comfort zone. I think even when we had like that, we had a PR Week article about us. Like, I'm not one of those people to be like, ta-da, like here we are. I don't love all of that. But I think what I would advise, say to anybody is that do it, like step outside your comfort zone, because you never know where life can take you. And it's given me so much, just given me a new lease of life. I've always been a very confident person. I'm always very confident, but it has given me that kind of new lease of life. And I think if I wouldn't have stepped outside and, done something different and just taken that leap, I would have never known what it would be like. So I think personally, it was the kind of taking that next step and really thinking, I'm gonna do this. It's made a massive difference to my life. Yeah.
So what about you, Stacey? What would you say if the kind of hardships or setbacks?
I'm trying to think about this one. I mean, I think a hardship can be when a client doesn't treat you with respect. And in the past, I've definitely experienced that, whether at agency or freelancing. And, for the last 7 years, I've been freelancing and doing it alone. So for me, this wasn't a risk. Doing Espresso wasn't a risk, but I had those moments of feeling really alone when things were not working or when a client was behaving in a way that is not acceptable. I can't think of a specific example, but we've all been there where you're just treated really poorly. And I think that what I've taken from that is to learn to say no. I'm one of those people that wants to do everything. I want to do everything. I have this vigor for life. I need to slow down sometimes. I'm so excited about everything.
And I'm much more kind of, I would say, strategic in a way. And I always bring Stacey back down to earth a bit and think, hang on a sec, let's work this out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, what I've learned is we don't have to say yes to everything. This is our business. If someone or something doesn't feel right, and I think very early on, or if we don't quite understand the brief or the consumer that they're trying to target, or we don't believe in something, we don't have to say yes to it. And I think that kind of as we've grown and we've had that stamp of approval where big brands are now starting to come to us, or we've got amazing case studies of work that we've achieved, that's given us the confidence to say no. Because I think at the beginning, you're kind of like, you want to take everything on because you don't know where it's going to go. And it is that moment of kind of risk. Starting the business for me wasn't a risk because I went from 1 to 2. So I've actually really benefited here. But you do at the beginning kind of don't know how it's going to, I was nervous when even the PR Week piece came out, because you're like, how's the industry going to welcome us? And actually it was amazing. And the industry welcomed us so kindly, and former colleagues and bosses all kind of were super supportive, but you don't know how it's going to go, and there is that kind of nervous factor, so you do kind of say yes to everything at the beginning. And I think as we've grown, we're learning what works for us and what kind of feels right, and chemistry is so important. And usually it's the agency that are kind of selling themselves to a client. But I think we also, get the vibe. And if we don't feel that chemistry, then we will say no. And I think that's kind of come, and we're only 7 months, 8 months in.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really great place to be this early on.
Away from the world of work, what do you both like to get up to in your personal time? I mean, have you got any hobbies, interests, or other commitments that fulfill your time away from business?
Yeah, I'm just thinking when we have spare time away from the kids.
We're both big into running. We've run 2 or 3 half marathons together. We both love running, and for both of us, it's sort of 50% about fitness, 50% about mental health. Running away from the chaos of our houses, just getting out of the house and having that freedom is massively important to us. But as we've kind of said, we've got 5 kids between us, and when we're not working, we're with them, and making memories with our kids. We both got away in the summer, and that was amazing. And I think having time to exercise, time to ourselves is kind of the mental side ticked off, but I think family is the other part of what we do and what we like to spend our time doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we do, we work really, really hard, and our days are filled with work. We love it, but we work hard. And I think on the weekends, like, we do want to, we want to spend as much time as we can with the kids. I mean, by Monday we're ready, Sunday we're ready for them to go back to school. But on the weekends, it is about that kind of family time.
Although, to be honest, my weekends are normally ferrying my between their social arrangements.
They've got a better social life than
absolutely. Between football classes and dance classes and parties, there isn't that much time for family bonding. I am more of a chauffeur at the weekend.
But I think what we're doing well is that we are able to segment our lives, and we're able to juggle. I think as we're moving along, we're knowing how to kind of separate that kind of work, like have that balance essentially, and that's what is so important. Work hard, play hard.
Ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and working with you, not just today, but also recently. It's been great fun finding out more about the incredible clients on your books that have shared their life lessons on the podcast previously. But unfortunately, we have to come to an end. But before we go, perhaps you might like to tell us where they can find Espresso and the services you offer.
Yep, you can find our website at www.thisisespresso.com and on Instagram at @this_is_espresso. And Instagram is really big for us, so you can see all of our work and case studies and get in touch.
Great. Excellent. Thanks, guys. People Behind Brands is available on all good audio platforms, so please make sure you go listen to our previous episodes and follow us for regular updates on our social media profiles at Podcast PBB, or just search People Behind Brands Podcast. My thanks to Lisa and Stacey, but join us next time for a brand new episode as we explore more life lessons from the world of business.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. I'd love to hear from you all, so if you want to get in touch, follow us on our social media platforms. If you like what you heard, please rate and subscribe to our exclusive content now. Join us next time for a brand new guest on the podcast as we explore yet more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!